Hello, everybody. Welcome back. TEE kicks off in 2025, and I will be taking you through tonight's action. It's myself, and can't see my finger. That way. There is no Max Ring this evening, unfortunately. He's had to pull out due to illness, so get well soon, Maximus. But yeah, we've got an evening of TEE action right ahead of us, right around the corner. And so we should be in for a good one. We've got a great track as well. One of my personal favourites, one of many Britain's personal favourites. It's Britain, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming up. The Silverstone circuit is a 5.891 kilometre circuit with 18 turns and 3 sectors as per usual. The first sector is mostly straight. The second sector includes the famous section of those S's there you can't see where I'm pointing with my mouse, but it's turns 11, 12 and 13, and then you come out to turn 14. The name will come to me in a minute. Sector 3 is mainly characterised by that long back straight, and then the final segment. So mostly it's comprised of a lot of straight line speed, but there's quite a few corners just thrown in there just to give the drivers a little bit of a challenge. We're loading into the race lobby now, and we should be getting the race underway very, very soon. Or we're going to start actually with qualifying, with Q1. That's right. I've got to do 3 qualifying sessions and then a race by myself. So this is going to be some proper brain rot stuff. It's going to be absolute chaos. And well, we're all the better for it, aren't we? It's a whole lot of fun. So yeah, we're going to be all good. I'm going to start this evening off by talking about the big announcements that have been coming out, not only of individual teams, but individual drivers as always. And well, firstly, just to get it out of the way, you're not seeing this wrong. Tamas Kokeni is an ABS driver. He is no longer with Thomas Enger Sim Racing. He recently signed for the French outfit, and well, it was certainly a turn up for the books when he was announced. It was certainly something I wasn't expecting, because he was really that flagship driver, that one that stayed every single race for his team. But unfortunately, he has left. Adam Radek has a quali ban. There's a few drivers with quali bans tonight. I think the other two who have not joined probably have a quali ban. That is, I presume, the reason why. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, we will find out. The other announcement is that there is a lack of ATX tonight. There will be a lack of ATX for the rest of the season. Instead, the Mercedes has been taken over by, at the moment, just Nicolino. It's going to be that Eversio Racing take over that Mercedes spot. It's the second mid-season team replacement that we have had ever since SET, Sierra Esports team, took over. Oh God, who did they take over now? It's been so long. It's been so long since I've done a race. To be fair, rounds 4 and 5 I missed, and then obviously it was the winter break. I hope everybody had a good winter break, and we're all feeling ready and refreshed for 2025, and we're ready and refreshed for a brand new year of esports, and TEE will get us underway. It's the 8th of January 2025, and this is your first of a few TEE races for the rest of the season. I'm just trying to find the calendar somewhere. There it is. It is. Well, we're halfway through the season now. Qatar was the last race that we had, and since then, well, after that, we are going to the UK, which is this race, obviously. And then the Japanese Grand Prix, Mexico, Austria, and Brazil will round out the season on the 5th of February. So just under a month away to the season finale, and it's one that's cooking us up. Quite a good little season that we got going on. TF10 currently lead the standings. John Marquardt and JST, their representatives tonight. ET8 in P2 on 148 points with Marcel Pabst and Leonardo Tonelato tonight. Pabst staying pretty much the entire season so far. Then it's FVR just 11 points behind them. 88, by the way, 24 off of TF10 at the top. Yeah, FVR 137 points, so they are 11 behind ET8 in third place, as Unai Vega becomes the first driver to set a time. 1:29.767 is the gauntlet that has been laid down by the first driver to set a time. The next one will be a TTM driver, Dennis Langrock, on those intermediate tyres. Apologies if I have any or many voice breaks tonight. That is because I've struggled to find my voice at all over the last few days. It is back now, but we could still be seeing some issues, so sorry about that in advance. Dennis Langrock goes quickest. JST goes even quicker. 1:29.081 for the TF10 driver, and the team at the top of the standings are displaced as Michi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for IRT. His teammate has a qualifying ban, but he has provisional pole position at the moment. 1:26.292. John Marquardt, the first driver into the 1:28s on those inters, I would presume. And yeah, times are being set, but not many competitive ones, as yeah, no one is on the soft compounder tyre apart from Michi, who's looking to make an impression for IRT. But yeah, IRT tonight, so they have, who've they got? I'm trying to find their lineup now. They've got Michi and they've got Adam Reddick, of course. Then you've got Sierra Esports team with Unai Vega and Anton Chebaratov. ET8, Marcel Pabst and Leonardo Tonelato. ABS with their new signing Tamas Kokeni and Pau Villegas. NLR, Stephen Vaso and Adam Klestan. Aversio making their debut with Triske, who is not here yet, and Nicolino. And then Dennis Langrock and Lighty for TTM. Then you got Thomas Enger Sim Racing, a new era, because we thought that they were going to have the strongest lineup by far when they had Conrad Bohm and Tamas Kokeni at the start of the season. They have Modesto Mena and Damien Curiel hoping to stamp their impression. And then JST and John Marquardt are the TF10 drivers. I mean, to be fair, it's a pretty new lineup considering what I've been used to over the last few races that I've done, at least. But the F1 sim racing scene changes so quickly. Blunty R9 changed from Aversio to TTM within 4 days. He joined Aversio and then left literally 4 days later. So, you know, it's a world that moves very, very quickly. And so I'm not surprised that I'm thrown off a little bit by a few of these names, but it's giving them an impression to impress. It's giving them an opportunity to impress me tonight, and impress all of you as well, I would hope. At the moment, one driver has set a real lap time, and that is Michi, 1:26.292 in the Kick Sauber IRT car. IRT who need to do something in this season. I spoke about the top three teams, TF10, ET8 and FVR. Well, IRT, they're sort of in the battle for the wooden spoon. They are the lowest team that has raced this entire season so far. The exception to that being Sierra Esports team, who replaced Zenith. Is the team that I have remembered now. Zenith F1, not Zenith Racing Team. Do not call them Zenith Racing Team. But yeah, so Unai Vega has come out onto the soft compounder tyre, and the Haas driver will be setting his first soft compound run. There's 10 minutes left on the clock. It's about to tick down to single digits, and there indeed it has. The Haas driver is last at the moment of everybody. Anton Chebaratov, has joined his teammate on the circuit. The two Haas drivers are the only ones at the moment who are out on the track. We've still got 18 drivers. We are missing, let me get this right, Triscay. And we are also missing Adam Crestan, NLR? No, NLR have changed their lineup from what I've been given. Oliver Knott and Stephen Vaso. Apologies for that. That is what I was given. No, I was given Stephen Vaso and Adam Crestan, so maybe a last-minute replacement. Qualifying bans, by the way. The situation, there are 3. There is 1 for IRT, which is Adam Radek, which is the one that we saw leave. Then it is, then it's Aversio. I presume that's the reason that that Triscay hasn't joined the session yet. And then TTM, Dennis Langrock has set a time. That's the other driver that's missing. It is Lighty, who will be joining us later on. But fair enough that he's not joined the session yet. I mean, why would you? Because you're just going to be there to sit there. So you may as well get that little bit of extra practicing. Unai Vega, 8/10 up in the first sector. Allegedly quickest. We'll see whether that is true or not in time. But yeah, because that's a glitch they still haven't sorted out. Quite a few drivers, everybody apart from Vaso and Lutz on the circuit at the moment, either on an out lap or a push lap. The 2 SET drivers, other ones on push laps. And we'll watch on board with Unai Vega as he heads through the second sector. Still trying to remember the names of these. I'm stubborn, so I'm trying not to Google it. But Unai Vega heading through and out. Luffield rings a bell, but I think that might just be a different corner on this circuit. Actually, I think I'm right in saying that. Unai Vega, just 3 more corners to go, and he will be setting his first competitive time. The target set by Mishi was a 1:26.292. Unai Vega keeping it pretty wide, actually, out of the penultimate braking zone and coming across the line, 1:26.457. So not quickest for the SET driver, and likelihood is that he's going to have to go in at Anton Chabotarov. I'll try and pronounce this name right throughout the course of the evening. He is the next driver to be setting a time. It's purple allegedly in the second sector again. We don't know whether that is true or not. This is his first timed lap of this session, the first time lap of this race as well, and we'll see where the SET driver is able to place his Haas car. He comes around the final couple of corners. I was going to say the beautiful Haas car. I'd say it's pretty ugly, actually. But anyway, across the line, Anton Chabaratov, 1:26.134, and he goes up to pole position by 1/10 and a half ahead of Michi. But yeah, lots of times are they're in the process of being set. John Marquardt almost 2/10 up, or sort of 2 seconds, sorry, up. And he comes across the line and goes quickest, 1:26.072. Is anybody able to match that? JST just 100th off in seconds. So the 2 TF10 boys jumping their way up to the top of the grid. Tamas Kokani, 1:26.3, goes up into 5th place. And his teammate Pau Villegas is about to come across the line. And he moves up into 4th, moving everybody below down, including his teammate Kokani. Modesto Mena goes up 26.5. Slowest of the real runs so far. And he's going to want to be improving on that. Looking at Marcel Paps as Jacob Strobe becomes the first driver into the 125s, 125.876. And Leonardo Tonelato becomes the second, 125.920. So the times are edging down, and they're going to edge further. And Marcel Paps, he's a quick driver, especially in qualifying. What can he do? 125.873. There you go. It's edged down by just 3 thousandths of a second. Has the RB, and I said that TF10 were making a statement going into the 26.0 as well. Pabst and Tonelato, they've moved a little bit better. Thank you, Marcello, for the invite. I will not be joining because I am here. Keaton Lutt, next driver. He is well, sorry, not necessarily the next driver, the only driver without a time at the moment. And he's heading through the second sector now. We'll see what he does as he comes up to the split time. Just checking, actually, does the audio work? Please tell me it does. It doesn't. Ay. I will try and sort that out. How do I get desktop audio capture? It should be working. I don't know why it never works. But there we go. Nope, that's just me again. Hello. Keaton Lutt goes quickest. 25.6. His first time on the board, and it's quickest of all. TF10 making their statement early on. Then ET8 came in and said go away. Our turn. And then FVR topping the timings at the moment. Keaton Lutt in first place. Marcel Pabst only just ahead of the other FVR of Jacob Strode in third. It could have easily been a 1-2 for the two Williams cars. Jacob Strode retires from the session in the pit lane. He thinks he's done enough to make it through to Q2. He probably has, all things considered, but it's quite close in that mid-pack. If the likes of Marquardt down to maybe a Pau Villegas can gain another 2/10, then they can seal their place. JST though thinks he's sealed his place. So does Tonelato. So does Marquardt. 25.9 and 26.0s respectively. Lutt's just on his in lap. I don't think we'll be seeing many times coming out. I think, looking at the fact that the TF10 boys think they're safe, it'll be interesting to see who does actually come out, because Adam Radek's got a quali ban. He's going to be in P18. You've got the top 15 going through. You've only got 2 going out at the moment, one of which being Oliver Knott, who has set a time on the intermediates. He hasn't yet set a time on the softs. Modesto Mena is the slowest of the soft runners. He is a 10th slower than Unai Vega in P15, and he is in the drop zone at the moment. And Unai Vega, a 10th off Nicolino, and Nicolino only a touch off Kokani, but Kokani another 10th and a half off Pau Villegas. There is a lot of time to find for drivers down the bottom, especially the likes of Tamesh Kokani, who you'd expect to be higher up. But currently P13 is where he is. I've just realised that I haven't been showing that. Aye. Well, that's what you get when you're watching a stream done by me, ain't it? The calendar is gone. Don't worry, the calendar's gone. The race is back. How long has that been going on then? Because I did click. This is the thing, right? I did click. Hang on. When did the calendar come over? Oh, I know what happened. I tried to sort out the audio issues, and instead just switched it over to the calendar. My bad. Anyway, glad I've brought up the chats. Glad I've increased the interaction on the stream. But yeah. We've got 1 minute 40 left in the session. At least you've rejoined at a crucial time for a few drivers. Chabaratov thinks he's safe, 126.134. I'm not so sure. But hey, SET thinks he's safe. His engineer thinks he's safe, and so does Chabaratov. Oliver Knott, the last driver in the standings at the moment. Obviously, Adam Radek quali ban. He's probably left the session, gone and done a few extra laps. But yeah, the Ferrari looking to gain at least 3.5 seconds if he wants to be safe, or if he wants to be solidly safe. 3 and a bit if he is wanting to be on the verge of going out in this session. He's gained 8/10 in that first sector at the moment. He is out of this session, and that would be disappointing, especially as his teammate is in 5th place at the moment, Stephen Vaso. But Oliver Knott, last minute replacement. Not so last minute that they had to change the lineups, but so last minute that the graphics were not updated. And so let's hope that he's able to get into... Well, let's hope for NLR's sake that he's able to get into Q2. And... well, we'll see as he comes across the second sector. Split time, he has improved 2.6 seconds, so that's a pretty good improvement. That is a pretty good improvement from the Ferrari driver, and suddenly it's looking a little bit more safe for Knott. If he can hook it up in this final sector, then I think he's got a pretty decent time on his hands. The checkered flag is waved. Knott will be the first one to take it, and it'll be a 25.9. So he's pulled something out of the bag in that second sector, and that has really saved his session. Unai Vega, the next across the line, he is completely matching his second sector time. So he's got to find something
in this third now that he's dropped down into the drop zone. And Vega finds something, but is it enough? He only moves up to P14. We're going to have a look now at Damien Curiel. He comes across the line. Modesto Mena seals his place in Q2. Damien Curiel doesn't just seal it, he secures it. P5 for the Thomas Enger sim racing driver. And that is pretty good stuff. Michi, he's safe, but he secures it again with a P6. And then the last driver to cross the line, Nicolino. Dennis Langrock is still going, but he is safe. Nicolino will be the next driver in a problem position to come across the line. He needs to gain just over a tenth to get ahead of Tamas Kokani, and indeed he does. The ABS driver on debut being knocked out in Q1, and that is not what he would have liked to see. That is not what ABS would have liked to see. Their shining star of a driver extinguished in Q1. Keelan Lutt taking provisional pole. Dennis Langrock, Marcel Paps, Jacob Strode at the top four. Then it's Leonardo Tonelato, Paps' teammate. And then Curiel and Michi, who came in with those laps right at the end. Veso, Not, Marquardt, JST, Chaboratov, Mena, Nicolino, and Pau Villegas are the drivers through, with Kokani and Unai Vega the only two out. Well, I say only two out, Adam Radek, but he had a quali ban. So, Adam Radek, Triske, and trying to recall it now. It's on tip at my tongue. Lighty is the last one. Q2 is upon us. 15 more minutes of qualifying laps ahead of us. Unai Vega's left the session. He's gone to get a bit more practice in, and who can blame him? With the slowest time in qualifying, something's gone wrong. Michi will be the first driver. That's not Michi. Who is that? That is one of the Williams, Keaton Lutt or Jacob Strode, who's heading out first. Is it? Yeah, it's Keaton Lutt. Okay. Keaton Lutt heading out first of the drivers into Q2. And yeah, we'll see where he goes. Just having a look now. Just to have a look. Having a look at the standings from Q1. Keaton Lutt, quickest of all in Q1. And he's going to want to secure that position here. But look overhead. It is cloudy here in Britain. And was that a drop of rain I saw? So these laps are crucial to get in early doors. Dennis Langrock just coming out of the pits. Curiel and Pau Villegas may have even missed it, as there are raindrops falling over the Silverstone circuit. And this is a crucial time for some of these drivers to set their laps. Keaton Lutt is in a great position, because not only was he the quickest in Q1, he is going to be the first to set a time on the softs before it gets any worse, the weather conditions. And, he's got a couple of corners to go before he can start that lap. The rain is continuing to fall, and it could get worse and worse as they head through the session. I'm expecting maybe 27s, maybe even 28s, because the trajectory it's going at, the rate it's going at, is going to get even worse. But Lutt, across the line, he's going to start his push lap. Everybody is out on circuit, apart from Curiel and Villegas, who have just come out now. And you must say they've missed the boat. They might be driving a boat at the end of their laps, with the way it looks like it's going. Lutt already struggling for grip through the first sector, and maybe even the softs could have missed the boat altogether. They could be the wrong tyre to be on at this point, because, the grip is bad in Sector 1 already for the first driver out. So by the time he reaches the end of his run, by the time the likes of Dennis Langrock reaches the end of his run, it could be intermediate conditions. We'll have to wait and see, but Keaton Lutt at the moment is in an incredible position. Curiel and Villegas, I think, have made a huge mistake by not jumping out straight away, by not seeing the overcast conditions and the drops of rain that began to fall right at the start of the session. And Keaton Lutt now, just one sector to go, and surely he secures his place in Q3 across the second sector split time with a 04.0. And, He's got 2 drivers behind him with Curiel and Villegas, the Tez and ABS drivers who will be down. It's not been ABS's day so far, with Unai Vega being not Unai Vega, Tamas Kukani. Well, Unai Vega did get knocked out, but Tamas Kukani, the ABS driver, knocked out in Q1. Yeah, Keaton Lutt, I said 28.4, and that is the pole man from Q1. So it could actually get worse from here as we get more times set. Tonelato goes in with a 0.751. Marquardt 0.8. Medina 0.7. Oliver Knott 29. Across the line, Anton Chaboratov. They just keep getting slower and slower. This is what I mean. These are some quick drivers who are setting some pretty slow laps, all things considered. You think about the fact that Keaton Lutt was almost an entire second quicker than Michi. That is the effects that the rain has had on those drivers, especially in that third sector, where it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. I quite like to see the split times between all of them, but now we can watch as on board with the Aston Martin. I think he's literally pulled out of the lap. I don't think he's going to go for it because there's no ERS having been used by the Tez man. But at the moment, Keaton Lutt, he is cleaning up. He had P1 in qualifying 1. And at the moment, he's sitting in P1 in qualifying 2. And the weather conditions only appear to be getting worse from this point onwards. Damien Curiel taking it very, very carefully in the exit of the second sector. And he's just got 1 sector to go. Whether he even pushes on this lap, no, he's not going to. Is Pau Villegas? He is. So the fact that he's stayed behind Curiel for so long is it's curious. Sorry, I had to get that one out there. Villegas running very wide on the exit and around the final couple of corners. Very tentative. This isn't going to be a good lap from Villegas. He's already the slowest of all, and he's not even crossed the line. 131.648. You'd think that he'd do better laps even on intermediates. I'm sure that's what he's going to try and do. I'm sure that's what Curiel's going to try and do. And they're going to have to do it quickly before this rain goes, or before this rain gets any worse. And the lap times just become slower. I think it's a possibility that you could try and set a quick lap. But I don't think you'll be making it up to the 29s, especially not the low 29s, because the cutoff point at the moment is Stephen Vaso, 129.257 in that NLR car. And it looks as though Michi, Nicolino, Dennis Langrock, Pau Villegas, and Damien Curiel are going to be the drivers eliminated in this Q2 session. Just poor timing from them all. They were pretty much the last 5 drivers to set laps. Curiel obviously didn't set a lap at all, but they were the last 5 drivers to go out, and so the final shootout will have 2 FVR, 2 TF10, 2 ET8s, 2 NLRs, surprisingly enough, and then Modesto Mena and Anton Chabotarov. Chebotarov. I'll try and get that right at some point this evening. Just rounding out and going it alone in that Q3 session. We do have a driver coming back out, and it is Damien Curiel who's going to go for another one. The intermediate tyres have been strapped on, but you'd think that everyone else is going to retire from the session, and this is going to be the most watched lap of this weekend as, well, he's even sliding on those inters. I know they're pretty cold, and he's going to have to take the time to warm them up, but it's not looking good for Thomas Enger, especially if they're aiming to get into Q3, as of course they would be, but it's really, really not looking good at this point. Nor for ABS, and DRS has been disabled. That is their laps over. Surely we may as well retire from this session now and go straight into Q3, because these tyres and this track is incredibly wet, and that time advantage that DRS gains you, I reckon it's about 7/10. That has completely been eradicated, and Curiel's going to have to go it alone without any assistance on his push lap. Villegas isn't even bothering, and we're going to have actually a couple of drivers out, Langrock and Nicolino, who are going to try their hand on those inters. Pau Villegas as well, surely you'd think at some point is going to have a go, have a stab at setting a good time. But the longer you wait, the worse the weather gets, surely. And, well, for Villegas, he could have missed his opportunity. Curiel is going to have another go around this Silverstone circuit. But it's not looking good. Modesto Mena, by the way, going into 4th place. He's a driver that's benefited from that timing, because he wasn't looking particularly quick in Q1. He ended up qualifying P13, and it was close down the bottom. He had to pull out a clutch 126.143 to make his way into Q2 in the first place. So for him to be in P4, that's pretty decent going. The TF10 of JST as well, he would have been out if Q1 was translated to Q2, because he ended up in P11, and in the end, that is not where he was. But, I mean, yeah, the likes of Dennis Langrock, for example, he is a very, very quick driver in qualifying. It's something we've seen throughout the seasons. It's something that we've seen tonight. He was provisional P2 with a 125.8. He has been really shafted by this weather change. This such a sudden weather change as well that really, really put a dampener, if you excuse the pun, on his weekend, which started off so well. P2 with promise to go P1, but our race victor from a few rounds ago is not going to have the same happenings as that time, which is unfortunate for him, but it means that we've got a very, very quick driver in the TTM car, able to come back, and maybe it could squeeze the grid together. He's 1.6 seconds down in the first sector. I mean, really, are we going to really try this? It makes it, well, Curiel's actually come back into the pits. I was going to say it makes sense for Curiel to go for a push run, but no one else really. Even Keaton Lutt has come out. So has Jacob Strode. So it's
interesting. It's very interesting to see. I'm going to take this opportunity to try to fix the audio. Has that worked?
Yeah, it has. Beautiful.
I'll turn it down
A lot so you can actually hear me. That's too much. Go on, Goldilocks. Something in the middle. There we go. That's a little bit better. You are able to hear the cars now. You're able to hear Dennis Langrock braking, recognising that he's not going to make it through to Q3. Very, very disappointing for him. Looking at other laps, is anybody improving at all? Marcel Paps 1.7 down. Jacob Strode, we won't know, but it's unlikely that he is, and it's almost certain that Keaton Lutt is not improving. That is for sure. But yeah, it's unfortunate for these drivers down the bottom. But there we go. They haven't got the rub of the green today, and they will be looking for an improvement.
Oh my god, have I done it again? Right, that won't happen for the rest of the. It will happen. It won't happen for the rest of the thing. Hang on. Let me just sort that out so it won't happen again. Right.
Even if I do it by accident, I won't be switching to the calendar. My bad. But there we go. Yeah. So, just looking, everyone else not setting laps. I mean, to be fair, that you didn't miss much. You just missed people going 1 point slower, like 1.7 seconds slower a sector. But yeah, 3 minutes left in Q2, and you've got 2 FER drivers, 2 ET8 drivers, 2 TF10 drivers. Well, JST has just retired from the session, but he is through to Q3. You would think, you would imagine, because there's no way that this clears up and then the rubber comes back out for the rest of this session. Retirement as well for Joel Marquardt. Retirement for Nicolino. He recognises that he's not going to make it through to the next session. Modesto Mena recognises that he has made it through. And there we go. We've only got the FER drivers and Marcel Pabst out on track at the moment. Anton Chebotarov as well is out. It rolls much better off the tongue when it's Cheboratov. But, oh well. There we go. So, yeah, 2 minutes left in the session. That is qualifying over. It does mean that there could be a whole lot of a change in Q3, there could be someone, hopefully, someone that isn't Keaton Lutt at the top of the timing sheets because, well, he's dominated so far. Q1 and Q2 is what he's held on to. And Q3 is just, it would just be the tip of the iceberg for the FVR man. You got both the FVR drivers through into Q3, so that is a great position for them to be in. You've actually got, is it the top 3 in the championship who have 3 drivers through? It is indeed. Sorry, just had to cross-reference there the standings. Yeah, TF10, ET8, and FVR, and then 4th place is TTM, and their top driver could only get up to P13. The other one is facing a qualifying ban, and he will have to fight his way from the back of the grid all the way to the front, if he's even able to get there. I mean, to be fair, we've seen performances come out of TTM so far this season. Remember Nando Moreira? Yeah, that happened. I'm trying to remember who else. I mean, Dennis Langrock won a race. We've had 2 race victors, I believe, from TTM. Well, I know we've had at least 2, but yeah, it has been 2. It was Nando Moreira, and then it was Dennis Langrock. Just wanted to cross-reference there. And then we have actually had 2 ET8 drivers, both of which being Marcel Pabst, taking the last 2 rounds of the season. Yeah, so people retiring. That is going to be the end of Q2, but I could have told you that about 5 minutes ago and it would have still been exactly the same. Just that rain coming down really screwed over the drivers that didn't come out, and actually Damien Curiel in the end didn't bother setting a lap, and the checkered flag is now waved. Leonardo Tonelato will be the final one to take it with an absolutely quality lap, 147 point something. But there we go, yeah. Leonardo Tonelato, 3rd place in this qualifying session. So ET8 on a run at the moment. Keaton Lutt taking that pole position with JST just a 10th and a bit behind him in 2nd place. Then Tonelato 2 tenths behind that with Modesto Mena and Joel Marquardt in that little clump there. Then Oliver Knotts 6 tenths off a pole position. Jacob Strode, Anton Chebotarov, Marcel Pabst and Stephen Vaso rounding out the ones who qualified, with Michi, Nicolino, Dennis Langrock, Pavelegas and Damien Curiel the ones that didn't. And now we have Q3. Who knows what the weather's going to be like here? Has it cleared up? Has it gotten worse? It appears to have done neither of those. It's not raining anymore, but it is overcast. And I think drivers are going to watch the mistakes from the teams that didn't come out early enough. Basically anyone but Keaton Lutt, really. But they're going to watch the mistakes of those teams, and they're going to try it again. They're going to go out as soon as they possibly can, I reckon, unless their weather reports are saying something different. And from the looks of things, from the fact that nobody's come out, it looks like their weather reports are saying something different. It's saying that it is actually going to clear up in the end, which would make sense. There we go. There's a Ferrari. Who's that? Stephen Vaso or Oliver Knott? One of them is coming out. There comes Keaton Lutt. There comes the other Ferrari, the other NLR. Vaso and Knott are both out. So they are coming out. They're not coming out in their droves like I thought they would, but they're coming out a little bit slower than that. So we've got 4 drivers, I think, just covering for themselves in case something does go wrong. Yeah, interesting to see that it's the 2 FVR drivers and the 2 NLR drivers. Lutz, who benefited from it. Strode, who, I mean, he made it through. And then Vaso and Knott, who certainly benefited from it to find themselves in Q3. NLR have not had a great season. They are on 82 points. They sit pretty much middle of the road, 6th place. They are in a fight with almost nobody. They're 22 points off Thomas Enger, so I guess you could say that they're in that fight with Thomas Enger and TTM for 4th, with them being tied on 104. But then you've got ABS under half the points of NLR. So, I mean, they won't move up, really. They won't move down anytime soon, at least, with ATX being chalked off the board. ABS is the lowest of the teams that aren't IRT, who just haven't had that season, and now with a qualifying ban in this session of Adam Radek, and then one driver making it into Q2, but not making it any further than that. That is an issue that they will have to face. Keen Lut around the final couple of corners. He will be the first one to set a time if he, of course, keeps this one valid and decides that it is a good enough lap. But there we go, across the line, and he will begin his push lap. Keeping it very, very tight to the curbs around turn number 2. Big wobble, huge wobble in turn number 3. Just not really sure what happened there. Just a bit of rear locking maybe for Keen Lut, or maybe a bit of grip loss on the exit. I think I just saw a raindrop. I could be completely wrong, but if there is, Keen Lut once again has played an absolute worldie, and no one's really covered it off. I mean, they didn't cover their backs when they saw what happened with the Aston Martin, the Thomas Enger driver, and the ABS driver last time, or in Q2. They haven't covered their backs for that. The only ones that have are FVR and NLR. So if it does start raining, then this could be a masterclass from these 4 drivers, and it's just going to be who can be the quickest of these 4 for that pole position. We'll see what happens. What happened with Damien? He completely missed the mark in Q2, and it started raining, and he just wasn't able to set a competitive lap time, and he ended up actually not setting a lap time at all. Keen Lut has decided this lap's not good enough. He comes into the pits, looking at Oliver Knott around the final couple of corners, and well, barely any ERS left, but he's not going to need it as he comes up to the line. Oliver Knott will go fastest of everybody, 29.8. A slow lap, to be fair, by all standards. Zeven Vaso goes even slower as the tyres start to like grip up a little bit more, I think. I think that's the aim of the game here. That is the name of the game as well. It's about trying to find the grip where possibly there isn't so much grip yet, at least. Anton Jabaratov around the final corner. What can he do? He can set a 30.6 slowest of the times that have been set so far. I mean, speaking of set, Sierra Esports team. Sounds harsh to say, but hey, I don't care. I'd say that SET are pretty lucky to make it through to this Q3 session with Anton. I mean, he's not had top 10 pace this weekend, or in Q1 at least, but he just came out with it in Q2. And yeah, Modesto Mena is going to come through the final sector. That's another driver who didn't have the pace in Q1, but does have the pace in or did have the pace in Q2. He actually ended up, I believe, 4th in that qualifying session. Who's doing comms? It's me, Cotcast, the owner of this account, and no one else. It's me by myself tonight. Modesto Mena around the couple of final corners. Subscribe, by the way, because this is my account, and I'll do my shameless plug now. Modesto Mena across the line, 128.872. Is that a sign of things to come in terms of the lap times coming down, or is that just a very, very good lap? We'll wait and see. The 2TF10 boys will be the ones to really measure themselves against that time at the moment. Mena a second quicker than Oliver Knott, and I think the track could be gripping up quite quickly here. Mark Watt around the final corner. It's going to be a 28.7. So yeah, there we go. The track is quicker. And JST 128.408. Me is Cotcast, the owner of this account. I do PSGL, WOR, amongst other things. Create a series. I've got a playlist if you want to if you want to watch. But yeah, Marcel Pabst, by the way, back focused, will be the next one across the line. And the man who's usually quick in qualifying, the man who's going for a three-peat, goes into the 127s. Leonardo Tonelato beats that by 7/10 of a second. Only ones so far not to set a time, the 2 FER drivers who realised that their times on that first push lap were not good enough, you would argue, and so they are coming through. I mean, the 2 NLR drivers demonstrating, and Anton Chebatarov again, making it clear that it is the track evolution. That's done them in the early stints where they came out early. They looked to cover themselves, and in the end, it didn't pay off. And well, I mean, to be fair, it was a fair gamble to take. That's the sort of thing that I would have done, or I would have suggested at least if I was the engineer, and I would have been told to go away, probably, most likely, considering the people I've engineered. But I digress. Keenelat heading through the second sector now. We'll see where the FER driver ends up. You'd expect it to be nearer the top. He has taken pole position in Q1 and Q2. Q2 was perfect timing for Keenelat, and Q1 was a perfect lap where he was able to set a time that was, well, much quicker than everyone else by over a tenth of a second. And yeah, he just demonstrated his pace so far this evening. Keenelat, 2 more corners to go, 1 more braking zone, and he's going to come back into the pits again. He doesn't think that this time is good enough. Jacob Strode, are you going to do the same thing? We'll see. I mean, there goes Leonardo Tonelato into the pits, which is fair enough. Jacob Strode, does he think this lap is any better? We'll see as he comes out of what will be the final corner, if he is indeed going to come into the pits. Lutz really not happy with his pace, nor is Jacob Strode. And the 2 FER drivers are leaving it late to get their laps in, to try to set anything in this session. They've been so dominant so far in this qualifying, and it could all come to blows. Because you need that lap in Q3 at the very minimum. Q2, absolutely fine. If you get a lap, that is good. That means you'll get through. Q1, absolutely the same, just with less pressure. But Q3 is really where, if you've got those laps in Q1 and Q2, you need to stamp your authority. And you need to come in and show everybody what you can do. And at the moment, the 2 FER drivers, 9th and 10th, not where they would have wanted to stand. Just under 3 minutes left on the clock then, and we are going to have the final runs as soon as we can. I think, based on what we've seen so far, overall, you'd be backing an FER, at least a podium in this qualifying session. But at the moment, ET8 and TF10 looking good, sitting pretty at the top of the timings. There comes a Red Bull out of the pit. Either JST or Joel Marquardt will be the first one to set a lap, and the other one will be a second. That's unless one of the RBs has anything to say about it. Yeah, they're all coming out with just over 2 minutes left on the clock. Just over 2 minutes to set a time. And for Keenelat and Jacob Strode, it is showtime as to whether they're going to be able to back up their performances in Q1 and Q2. But Pabst, 2-time winner, looking to make it 3. He's also going to be up there. He is also going to have a great lap in him. If he's able to execute it, that's another question. But he has certainly got that great lap in him. You feel as though he's got that great lap in him at pretty much any circuit that he races around. And I'd say that from what I've seen, his qualifying pace is his strength. His 1 lap pace is his strength. And that comes from somebody that's raced against him. Not to any particular degree. I mean, he blasted off into the distance while I sat back and was ridiculously slow in comparison. But hey, I can boast that I've raced against him. I can boast that I've raced against Ryan Grob as well. Who else raced in that one? Don't think anyone else on that same level. But hey, I can still say it. They don't read this. They don't fact check. Please don't fact check. Around the final corner then. This is Pabst on a lap. This is Marquardt on a lap. And we are going to watch on board with the Red Bull a lap of the Silverstone circuit. So heading through turn 1 pretty much flat out. And then heading up to the first braking zone of the circuit. Do not blink here, because you could find yourself backwards. Gear 3 is a bold one to go in for Joel Marquardt, but it's one that pays off. It's one that you only really go in that final run in qualifying. 4th gear gives you a little bit more stability, but Marquardt, who's improved by just over a second as the checkered flag is waved, he is not looking to drive safely. As Andretti once said, Mario Andretti that is, if you're feeling comfortable in the car, you're not going quick enough. And Joel Marquardt at the moment epitomising that, heading through now. Just how on the throttle can he keep it through these corners? Pretty on the throttle is the answer to that question. 7th gear into the final bit of that, the braking zone, and he's up by 2.4 seconds. So at the moment, Joel Marquardt will be provisional pole if he doesn't lose it here. And just a bit of a wobble. He's lost a bit of time there. But what can he do in his final run in this qualifying session? It's looked like a pretty lap. It's going to be a pretty lap, as it's the quickest of the evening so far. 125.628. What can Paps do? He cannot match it. He's going to go 20. He's going to go 25.7. JST goes quicker. Tonelato goes quicker. And all eyes turn now to the man who took pole position in Q1, in Q2, and now he's looking to take it in Q3. He will finish this lap, the first one of this session, and it's going to be a 25. That is pole position for Keane Lutt. A 25.4 in the end, and what a time that is. And I said that he needed to pull one out of the bag. 25.456. He certainly has. Joel Marquardt, 0.17 off in second place. JST, 200ths off in third. Then it's Steven Vaso, Marcel Pabst, Leonardo Tonelato, Jacob Strobe with a disappointing lap in the end to finish down in P7, considering what he promised earlier on in the session. Then it's Anton Jabotarov, Modesto Mena, and Oliver Knott rounding out the grid. Pretty good lap, to be fair, from Steven Vaso. I'll give him his props. I was not expecting him to be up in the 4th. I was expecting him to be around where Jabotarov is. Maybe around where Jacob Strode is. Maybe I would have swapped the laps around from the FVR man and the NLR man had I been given the choice. And had I been asked for my predictions. I am going to send you, hopefully to the right screen, to an intermission while we wait for the race start. But, hey, it looks like it's going to be a very, very good race on our hands. It looks like we've got a very, very good race on our hands where anything could happen.
Right, race day here in TEE for the British Grand Prix. We're readying up. We're getting going. We've got 20 drivers ready on the grid. And we will be starting with lights out in just a few moments' time. Yeah, interesting to note, by the way, it is not, in the end, Trisquet racing for Aversio. Instead, it is Min Jake. Min Jake, I presume it's Min Jake. I think his Discord name was Mini Jake, so that would make sense. But, hey, I mean, send me the wrong graphic, so that also makes sense. Anyway, I'm not quite sure what we're waiting for, actually. Me, as it turns out. Because I forgot to press spectator. Anyway, I digress. Race predictions, everybody, get them in the chat, please. I am going to go with Keaton Lutt. I think he's just been too quick. Drivers have a specialist track. This could be Keaton's. What do you think, Max? Wrong way. I was trying to do a bit. I was trying to do a funny bit. Didn't work. Here's the race. I can't believe I turned the wrong way. That would have been so funny. It would have been a mid joke. But anyway. Right. I'll do that. So there is an absolute 100% guarantee I will not switch to the calendar. I promise I will not switch to the calendar at any point during this race. But yeah, Keaton Lutt for me. He will take the victory. But you never know, because these sorts of league races, they don't always favour the fastest driver. They favour the luckiest driver at points. And although Keaton Lutt has been the quickest, Marcel Pabst, could he be on for a three-peat? Could we have a TTM driver come up to the top? We've had 2 wins from TTM drivers so far this season. They need points in the championship. This could be their opportunity. Thomas Enger as well. They could be looking to take points away. Or someone along the lines of like Tamas Kokani. He could be proving the Thomas Enger management wrong. And proving the ABS management very, very right. But we are going to go to the 5 red lights for the British Grand Prix. It's lights. And it's action. We're away here in Britain. Keaton Lutt gets a good start. John Marquardt is nowhere in comparison. And he's going to have to tuck in after turn 1. It's Stephen Vaso and Marcel Pabst going side by side. This is for P4. And here comes Jacob Strode trying to get involved as well. It's 2 by 2 as they head through the first sector. It's now the 2 TF10 drivers as John Marquardt gets a good exit. Who is going to be faster? Who's going to be quicker? Down the straight, it looks as though it's going to be Marquardt who comes out on top. Looking further back then, Modesto Mena and Oliver Knott swapping positions. Knott going very, very deep into the corner and spinning round. There goes Oliver Knott all the way down the order. I lost him for a second. Oliver Knott all the way down the order, and he will not be anywhere near where he qualified, unfortunately for him, unless he can make his way back up the order. But it's going to be very, very difficult to build up that momentum once again. He just broke incredibly late, and that did not pay dividends. It was a gamble that didn't pay off for Oliver Knott, and he drops down, having to get back past Michi. He moves up into P12 once again, but the fight for P8 is no longer on. Looking ahead now, as Marcel Pabst could be shaping up a move on JST, as Marquardt could be shaping up a move on to Keaton Lutt, as Pabst could be shaping up a move on John Marquardt. But here comes JST back down the inside. He stays ahead. They're going to be wheel to wheel if Marcel Pabst is later on the brakes. But here comes Jacob Strode. He moves into P4. And the Williams, the FVR driver, makes it 1-4 at the moment. He's the only one on those soft compounded tyre. There's yellow flags out. It looks like that's for Modesto Mena. Unfortunately, it's not actually. He's dropped down the order as well. Maybe there was contact between himself and Nicolino, but Nicolino going around at the final corner. It's now a battle between the 2 Thomas Enger drivers for that P13 spot, and the fight has allowed Lighty to come into it. But he's just, he's missed out in the end. Minjake and Adam Radek going side by side for P16. Minjake comes on top in that battle
Interesting to note that Jacob Strode is on those soft. Everybody else is on those mediums. So he's going to be so much quicker in this early stage of the race. The aim, I'm sure, is for FBR to get into 1-2 and then Lutt to control the pace while Strode just strides off into the distance. But that is a while away. He has to get past the 2 TF10 boys, and that is not an easy task. And he will have to just try to fight his way forward. There you go. Possible race strategies. Softs onto mediums, lap 12 to 19. And softs onto hards, lap 12 to 19. Those are only possibilities for the soft runner. They're the only possibility for Jacob Strode. But here comes Joel Marquardt. He takes the lead of the race for the first time off of Keen Lutt. And yeah, the lead is taken by TF10 for the first time. And JST is going to look to try to pressure Keeden Lutt. The early attempts will be on trying to get an advantage for both TF10 and FBR. And we will see who comes out on top in that battle, because surely it's going to be a battle between those two teams, especially at the moment. Lutt really, really close to the rear of Joel Marquardt now, pulling to the inside line. They're going to be wheel to wheel. Lutt braking early, trying to force a mistake from Marquardt. He does no such thing, and he's going to get the DRS. He's going to try to get back ahead and into what he feels is his rightful lead of this race. Jacob Strode as well pulling the DRS, pulling out on JST. And both FBR drivers could be looking to make a move up. Lutt down the inside of Joel Marquardt. They're side by side. Strode alongside Marquardt as well. He's going to be later on the brakes because of those tyres. And the gamble could be paying off for Jacob Strode. The grip that he has on the exit is enough for him to get past Marquardt. And now he's going to look to get past his teammate. There could be team orders in play as early as lap 3 here. But if Jacob Strode is let through, that does open the door for Joel Marquardt to come through as well. And that would be a huge, huge problem, as then Keeden Lutt would have lost the momentum and Jacob Strode's tyres. Surely they're not going to last that long. I mean, they're supposed to last till lap 12. So surely, I mean, the degradation cannot last that long, you would think. They do swap, and Strode takes the lead of the race. As I mentioned earlier, that Lutt's probably going to try and control the pace now, and you can already see a gap starting to form. 2/10 isn't much, but it's the indication of something that's going to be much, much bigger as we head through. It's now up to 5/10, and Lutt is playing this so very well. Strode is going to try to break free now of the rest of the pack. Oliver Knott comes into the pits. I think he had damage, and he, Villegas, and Nicolino, it has not been their day. It's not been Nicolino's day for Aversio's debut, and Minjake in P15. He was the one who took the qualifying ban for Aversio, and at the moment, he's up to P15, so he's had a pretty decent start. Lutt trying to hold off Joel Marquardt. The DRS is going to help him on this lap, and, well, he's going to have to continue to try to use them. Try to use it as long as he can. 6/10 is the gap between Strode and Lutt. Now it's 7/10, and the FBR drivers, it has played right into their hands. The TF10 drivers they'll be desperate to get past sooner rather than later. Their strategy needs to work, and Marquardt gets a great exit, but not quite good enough to get ahead of Keeden Lutt at the moment. But that exit does promise it will light a fire under Joel Marquardt. He knows he can get past it at some point. Is that point now? Closing in. It's going to have to be a bold move. He's going to look to the outside, switching to the inside, taking the ideal line around the corner, but Lutt's just holding on to it, and then taking perfect defensive positioning into the final segment. Maybe a little bit of contact, maybe riding over the curbs. Is Keeden Lutt? There's yellow flags out, as that is Dennis Langrock dropping down the order, I think. He's dropped behind Damien Curiel into P12. And so TTM's day does not get any better from here. Lighty, by the way, he started last, and he's up into P10. So props to him, especially because he started on those medium compounded tyres, just like everyone else on the grid. Marcel Pabst inviting himself into the battle for the lead. It's FBR, TF10, and then ET8 and ET8 all the way in the top 6. But Pabst looking to change that, looking to get ahead. At the moment, he's going to stay right where he is. Joel Marquardt pulling out on Keeden Lutt, putting out again on the outside line, not getting close enough, but 1.2 seconds is a gap. Lutt's strategy was successful, and now, without DRS, he's going to have to hold them off even more, just for a little bit longer. I reckon Strode needs about 2.5 seconds just to feel comfortable in that gap. But you got 4 drivers so very close to each other. Leonardo Tonelato able there in P6 to latch onto any mistakes that are made by anybody further up. Marquardt could be going for the move here. He is going for the move here, pulling to the inside, even though Lut squeezed him all the way to the inside. JST trying to go through as well. It was a small gap, but both TM10 drivers fit in there in the end. JST, though, for him, it is not over, but Marquardt and JST playing perfect team games, and they were able to confirm the position for JST as Keaton Lut makes contact, and he drops down the order. That is one of the FBR drivers, the man with the perfect weekend so far, falling and falling further. P15 is where he sits. That is a huge error for Keaton Lut out of the final corner, and that could just be the end of their perfect weekend. Having a look now, Anton Chabatarov and Michi fighting away. The IRT driver flying the flag at the moment with Adam Radek down in P16. He's not able to take that advantage. Looking to the inside, but just backing out of it. As this is not his move to make. Just tiny gap, but he takes advantage. Anton Chabatarov just about opening up a tiny gap on the inside. And Michi says thank you very much. He pulls alongside. He could pull ahead with the inside line. There's contact between the two. It makes Michi lose the rear. And Anton Chabatarov takes the lead in this battle. P7 is where he goes, ahead of the IRT driver. And Michi will have to try again very soon. JST surely going to make a move past his teammate down this straight. DRS is available for them. Marcel Pabst as well could make a move as well. He is quick enough, but he's not able to. Staying behind for the meantime is Marcel Pabst. He's shown that he's got the pace to pull alongside JST a couple of laps ago. This could be his opportunity to pull ahead very, very soon. There's a gap of 4/10 between JST and John Marquardt. The power is not strong enough. The slipstream is not strong enough for Marquardt to have a significant advantage over Pabst. And so you'd imagine you'll be seeing a move from the ET8 driver very, very soon. But that soon is not right now. Pabst pulling to the outside, trying to find a gap, trying to force a mistake. DRS will be available to him right down this straight. And with the slipstream as well, you would think he's going to close. He's going to close. He is indeed outside line, wheel to wheel. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Who's going to be braver at the moment? It's Joel Marquardt who stays ahead. And the TF10 drivers, it's now in their hands to hold the race lead. Or to hold the race lead in terms of this battle. They know Strode's tyres are going to go off. And they know that Lut is not there to fight for them. Or at least not yet. Because he's got the pace. And he could be fighting right back. Chabatarov showing more race pace. Much more race pace than he was in qualifying. And he is now fighting Lighty, who's showing more race pace than he did in qualifying because he had a ban. He started from right at the back of the grid. And he moves his way up. P8 will become P7 as Chabatarov, wow, he's holding the inside line. It looked like he was going to try and back out there, but a late braking move means that he stayed alongside, but Lighty with the advantage, and he stays ahead. And he confirms the position. P7 for him now. 1.1 seconds between Strode and JST at the top. And so you'd think that JST is going to get the DRS now. Those softs, they're going off. It's not the time for the softs anymore. You would feel Marcel Pabst and John Marquardt going at it. And Pabst staying behind for now. Just backing out. Marquardt getting his elbows out once again. And Pabst doesn't want to fall victim to the same sort of thing that Lut fell to. By the way, in the meantime, Lut makes his way past Unai Vega. It's not the SET driver he would have been wanting to fight with just yet because he's outside of the points. And he's going to try to get back into it. He will pick up the DRS, though, almost straight away off of Modesto Mena. So that is rapid from Keaton Lut in his attempts to climb back up from P15 up into the points at the very least. But 9/10 now between JST and Jacob Strode at the top of the order. And you think that this is the FBR charge for the race lead at the moment, at least, over. They're going to have to pull something out of the bag. They're going to have to change their strategy. The engineers will be stressing, trying to find something to do. Something to mean that Lut goes up there and Strode stays there. Pabst looking at the outside line. Marquardt cutting it off again with a late braking move. And the TF10 boy staying ahead. Pabst again trying to find a gap in Joel Marquardt's defences. At the moment, he's unable to. The Red Bull is holding on to this so incredibly well. And, well, he's going to have to continue to do so. But, I mean, at the moment, it's not looking like it's under threat at all. This P3, which will likely soon become P2. Dennis Langrock and Michi side by side. Michi late on the brakes, but Langrock able to switch back, and he holds on to it. What a move from Dennis Langrock, and he clings onto that position. P8 is his, and he stamps his authority. Marcel Pabst closer than anyone else on the field. I say that. Damien Curiel and Modesto Mena going side by side. Curiel dropping behind his teammate. He could drop behind Lutt as well. We'll watch on board with the Williams as they head up to what is not an overtaking zone, unless you're very, very brave, and it is not an overtaking zone for Keaton Lutz. P13 is where he sits. He pulls alongside. This is not a braking zone either. This is not an overtaking zone, but, oh, close. Lutz, he's gutsy. He's very, very gutsy. But he needs to be in his charge up the order, because he needs to help his teammate. His teammate who is now just under 2/10 ahead of JST. And there we go. In the end, Keaton Lutt does make his way past Damien Curiel into P12. Modesto Mena is in P11, and he is the next target ahead. JST down the straight. He could get this move done on Jacob Strode, but I think he's going to wait for the DRS, which is just a few corners away. And it's going to be a very, very easy move from there. And he's going to try to hold on to that lead. Maybe Marquardt can make his way through as well. And this will be perfect play once again. TF10 having an absolute masterclass so far in this one. And, well, they could cap it off with a 1-2 at the moment as JST closes in on Strode. But the straight line speed of the FVR driver is just enough to hold anyone off for the time being. That could play into his favour, because he's faster down the straights, or pretty much Mac down the straights with JST, and he's got no DRS. That could be a huge play, a huge strategy difference between the two. If he's able to hold on to it, that would be incredible. And well, at the moment he's looking like he's going to. Perhaps still trying to force a move on these TF10 drivers back onto the podium positions, but at the moment. It was only a podium position he briefly held, but when he got past Joel Marquardt, and it's not one that he's going to make pass, as now Jacob Strode overtaken by Marquardt and JST working together to make a brick wall that Strode cannot find his way through. But you know who can? It's going to be Marcel Pabst. He's onto the podium, and he's ahead of Jacob Strode. The grip on the exit for the FVR driver shouldn't be enough. But with Pabst taking too much curbing into the final corner, it is enough. And he's going to have to try again. The opportunity, the opening, just did not pay off for Marcel Pabst on Jacob Strode. And he's going to have to go again. They're 3 wide almost. And Strode's exit is compromised by a little tap from Pabst. But you can see the defences now coming in from JST and Marquardt. They are side by side, almost through every corner. Just forcing Jacob Strode to try something, to force a gap himself, and he just can't at the moment. He can't find a gap. And there we go. It's another defensive manoeuvre from JST and Marquardt. This is how you defend. This is how you work together as a team. TF10, masterclass in these first 11 laps, and they've got 15 laps to continue it. Keaton Lutt, the next move is on Anton Chibotarov, and he moves his way up into P11. P10 could soon come as Modesto Mena tries to fight his way ahead. They were alongside Leonardo Tonelato through the last couple of corners. They could pull alongside once again, and no, not quite. He's just a bit too far back on this occasion. But Strode and Pabst, they can't find a way through, and they're just going to have to go side by side. Strode and Pabst still trying to find a way through. The TF10 boys, they're not working together well enough though. 2 different teams clashing, 2 different aims clashing, and 2 different tyres clashing. And Strode stays ahead. Pabst wants this move. There's now 7/10 between the TF10 drivers and Jacob Strode in P3 because of that contact. That could be crucial. DRS will be available for JST, Jacob Strode, and Marcel Pabst down this straight. Who is going to take advantage of it? I mean, JST And John Marquardt, they're going to stay in routine. Strode and Paps not close enough to anybody. And Tonelato making a move on Veso for that P6 spot. Veso trying to dive it back, but outbreaks himself and actually makes contact with Tonelato. There's wheel banging as they head out of the exit. And Veso, in the end, takes P6. And there's contact there. What's happened there between Dennis Langrock and Modesto Maynor? A driver who's shown so much pace. He was P2 in Q1, the only unaffected qualifying session for the rain. And Dennis Langrock, contact damage between himself and Modesto Maynor. And that is the main TTM driver in qualifying out of it. The other TTM driver right back in it. P5 for Lighty. He is right on the rear of Paps. Tonelato and Veso with that small bit of damage means that Lighty's back up there. And he's now going to be fighting for that top 3 spot because Jacob Strode, as I try to catch him on the picture. There we go. He comes into the pits. This is his one pit stop of the race, you would imagine, and it's going to be onto the hards. He's made those softs last as long as he can. And it is pit lane time, pit stop time for Jacob Strode. Those mediums go on. So it's going to be the mediums till the end of the race. We'll see how they last because he's made those softs last a very long time. Langrock in for the softs. So maybe it is the play to switch from the softs to the mediums. All the predictions said the hards at the start of this race, but the mediums could be the play. Everybody, by the way, P1 down to P13 within DRS. The first one out of it is Adam Radek in P14. And on lap 13, that is an incredible number of drivers still to be within the DRS, still to be within a shot of something in this race. But you'd surely think that TF10 can't let this slip now from this position. They've defended so well, they've worked so well. And Marcel Pabst in P3, he has found no gaps so far, nor could Jacob Strode while he was attacking. He's drawn for the undercut. He went for the undercut because he started on the softs, the only driver to do so. And he's going to try to continue on that momentum. Are we going to see somebody into the pits as Marquardt holds off Paps? We are indeed, and it is going to be Marquardt on lap 13. So those mediums coming off, you'd think softs coming on now. And that is the play made. He's boxing opposite to Jacob Strode. This is the moment that we're going to be looking at for this race lead as Tamas Kokani, 10-second time penalty. His debut for ABS just goes from bad to worse. We'll watch on board with Jacob Strode as in the pits is Joel Marquardt. It's the longest pit straight on the calendar, and he's going to come out actually after turn number 1. So it's going to be an agonising wait for both of these drivers to see where they come out. I'd imagine Strode's ahead. I would be wrong. Marquardt is ahead on track, but Strode just gets ahead with the momentum. And he moves up P11. But Marquardt on those softs, he's going to be quicker in this early portion of the stint. And you'd think he's going to get past, even with cold tyres, just simply because of the fact that he has that DRS. He pulls alongside and he pulls ahead. And Joel Marquardt is in P11. This is his opportunity to try to break free. We saw how quick those softs were at the start of the stint. Jacob Strode, even with assistance from his teammate Keaton Lutt, was able to pull out a gap of 1.3 seconds to the rest of the field. So those softs, they're quick. And Marquardt's already 4/10 ahead of Jacob Strode anyway. Even though he's not warmed up those tyres as much as he would have wanted to, I think now is the point where he's going to be able to put the pedal to the metal and try to gun away as quickly as he can. We're going to have a look because more drivers are in the pits. JST almost getting hit in the back by Marcel Pabst, who came in very quickly. Veso came in even quicker. That is a 10-second time penalty for the NLR driver whose race was going so well. And now it's more or less over with how tight this field is. Tonelato and Lutt continue onwards as the overcut is going to be the strategy that the Williams team gamble on, that the FVR team gamble on. In order to try and get him back into this race, he's going to have fresher softs at the end. But is it going to be enough? We saw those softs fall off after about 7 laps in Strode's first stint. And, well, we'll have to wait and see how well Keaton Lutt is able to manage them. He's still in the DRS of Leonardo Tonelato. He's forced his way actually back into the fight for the lead of this race because Tonelato, remember, he was about P6, P7 in that first stint. So he's not too far off where he was at the start of this race. So we'll see where he comes out. We'll see where he is in relation to the rest of the field when he comes out of the pits, obviously with fresher, softer, compounder tyre. So he should be absolutely fine. But at the moment, Tonelato and Lutt lead the race 14 seconds back to Pau Villegas, who's 6 seconds ahead of Joel Marquardt. The top three haven't pitted yet. Everybody else has. And so this is the race order. If you ignore the top three, it is Joel Marquardt leading this race by 5 tenths ahead of Jacob Strode. 8 tenths back then to JST, with Marcel Paps 3 tenths behind him. And Lighty 4 tenths behind him. Damien Curiel almost a second off. You'd think it's a 5-way battle now for the top of this train. Lutz and Tonelato continuing for yet another lap. They're going to do at least 16 laps on those mediums as Marcel Paps and JST. Finally, Paps can make his way past the Red Bull, and you'd think it's presumably because the two Red Bulls are not working together to defend anymore. It's JST hung out by himself to try to hold on to this lead, and he's not been able to do so at the moment. In terms of the battle with Keelan Lutt, Marquardt still has the lead, so TF10 will still be taking the maximum points at the moment as it stands. And you'd think they'd have a good weekend because P1 and 4 is what they're currently set for. JST right on the rear of Marcel Paps, looking to make it a 1 and 3. DRS is available, but it's not going to be enough. It is going to be enough, though, for Jacob Strode to get past Marquardt and, well, really prove me wrong in saying that those mediums are not as quick as the softs in this part of the race. Even with the DRS, I didn't think that they were going to be as quick. I was proven very, very wrong, and Marquardt is going to have to try to find his way back before those softs go off. He's saving his tank, whereas Strode is using a little bit more. And we will see what happens. But now Pabst all over the back of Marquardt. He's, again, just like JST, defending by himself. As coming into the pits is Leonardo Tonelato. Lutt, another lap is what he's going for. I'm sure he's waiting for a safety car or something along those lines. As Marquardt and Strode fighting away. Pabst to the inside as well of Jacob Strode, but he's unable to make that move stick. Here comes JST around the outside of Pabst as well, but I don't think he's got that momentum. Indeed, he doesn't. And he will have to stay behind Joel Marquardt, staying ahead of Jacob Strode. 4 tenths between the two. Pau Villegas comes into the pits, and only Keelan Lutt now in this race has not pitted. So we are waiting for the man who topped Q1 and topped Q2. And, well, actually, to be honest, don't remember. Yeah, he did top the Q3 as well. Wanted to double check there. But he did top Q3. He topped Q1, Q2 and Q3. He had all the luck in qualifying. He may have run out of it in this race. He's 19.2 seconds ahead of Joel Marquardt. You think he's going to come into the pits at the end of this lap because he doesn't have the DRS anymore on Leonardo Tonelato to help him through, to build that gap. But now it's being reeled in. It's 18.8. It was just 19.2 as there's yellow flags out for Oliver Knott, I believe that is, in Sector 1. But he's able to get going again. So there's no safety car that Keelan Lutt was most likely waiting for. And you'd think that the Williams is going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. We will see. Is he going to dive in? Indeed he did. Indeed he is. And this is the moment that will define his race. He was P1 in Q1. He was P2 in He was P1 in Q2. He was P1 in Q3. And now this is the moment where we find out where the man who led early on made a mistake which dropped him all the way down to P15. And now he's gone for a huge overcut, a strategy that no one else dared to dream about. We will see where he comes out in relation. He fought his way back up into the lead battle. I mean, Leonardo Tonelato is in P11 at the moment, but he's only about 2 seconds off. Lutt is going to come out. Is he going to come out? He's going to come out behind Tonelato in the end. He's going to come out alongside Minjake, but he's going to break a hell of a lot later. He's going to say no thanks to Minjake. He knows this isn't his fight. He knows that his fight is up ahead, and his fight is getting into that DRS of Leonardo Tonelato. There is chaos going on, by the way, for the battle for the lead. Lighty around the outside of JST. He could try and pull it off on Marquardt as well. Not quite able to do so as the TF10 drivers back together again, able to defend. But now they head down the straight, and they are going to hold on to that position. It is dangerous to let Marquardt and JST anywhere near each other on the circuit, and they have done exactly that. But Marcel Paps has taken the lead of the race. How long is he going to hold on to that with the DRS? We'll have to wait and see. But Marquardt and JST, DRS down the back straight. There goes Marquardt. There goes JST. Is Lighty going to make his way through as well? No, he's not. He's going to wait a little bit longer. He's going to wait for Paps to try and fight forward. And he almost had such a good move shaped up. But a wobble on the exit for Lighty means that he is unable to hold on to that inside line on Lighty. Or on Marcel Paps. Lighty stays in P4. And the next overtaking opportunity will be just up here. Paps looking for an overtake on Marquardt. He's around the outside. This will open up a gap for Lighty as Paps goes for a switchback. He's holding on to the outside. If he doesn't make this move, then Lighty's going to be right on the river. There's contact between the two. Marquardt going for an aggressive defensive move. And there is contact. They both drop down the order. There's damage for, I believe, Damien Curiel as well. And Paps, just another driver to fall off of the race lead contention. The battle for the victory contention. And it's so unfortunate because he was looking so quick. Just he was being held down by the tight defences of the TF10 drivers. And Marquardt, maybe a wobble on the exit. Maybe a wobble on the exit for Paps. One of them had issues. And it cost both of them. Although it's cost Marcel Paps significantly more than it cost Joel Marquardt, as he's just dropped down to simply P4. Moves that he can make up with the help of his teammate in P1. It's looking good once again for TF10, but I feel as though this is another race that's going to be decided in the stewards room. Michi makes his way past Modesto Mena, the drivers battling for P5 all of a sudden. Damien Curiel and Marcel Paps side by side. Paps, I don't know whether he has damage or not. I saw an end plate, but I think that was the Thomas Enger driver of Curiel with that end plate off. And Paps just staying behind Leonardo Tonelato, making his way through even. So Paps maybe does have damage. He doesn't think he's going to be the quickest ET8 driver in this one. So he's let Tonelato have the spotlight. He's let Tonelato have a stab at making his way up. Curiel to the inside of Michi. Tonelato to the inside of Mena. And they both make their moves stick. Tonelato as well looking for a move on Michi. He's been successful if he's able to pull it off around the outside. He had the track position and now he has the real position as Michi backs out, because a fight through there is not what you want to do. Something else you don't want to do, Damien Curiel, is wobble on the exit there, and Leonardo Tonelato taking full advantage. Could be Michi as well. No, he backs out. But Tonelato taking advantage, but 2.4 seconds between himself and Marquardt means that it's a 4-car battle for the race victory. Lap 20 of 26, and JST has the advantage. Lighty in second. He started, by the way, last on the grid after a qualifying ban. And now he moves into the lead. The TTM driver goes from last to first, and he's got 6 laps now to hold on to it. Marcel Paps alongside Michi, making his way past now the IRT driver, who's not had the best couple of laps. Keaton Lutt looking to the inside, switching to the outside as well, trying to find some way past Michi, who's making a move back past Marcel Paps. These two have had such a frustrating afternoon, Paps and Lutt, and now they're fighting each other for P9 and P10. They looked like I predicted that they would be fighting for that race lead, for that race victory, but instead it's the lower echelons of the points that they're going for. Lutt to the inside of Paps, he gets ahead. Michi ahead of Modesto Mena, sorry. And this is a move they need to make, the move on the Aston Martin as soon as they possibly can. It could even be into here. I've not seen one into this corner so far this race. We're about to see one, and Mena backs out, allowing Lutt through. P8 is Keelan Lutt's position now, and Marcel Paps is wanting to take it. Trying to follow through Modesto Mena, but making contact with him and dropping behind Minjake. They both move behind Minjake. Keaton Lutt and Michi side by side. Keaton Lutt is ahead. It's 3 wide further back. Mena, Anton Chebatarov, sorry, and well, Minjake still fighting over this position. And who's that? Marcel Paps still going away at it. Lap 22 of 26. And JST continues to lead. The top 4 have stabilised. As you'd imagine, they were all saving for that final battle. They have presumably full ERS tanks, and the two TF10 drivers are in the middle of Lighty and Strode. I know Lighty made it past on the last lap with DRS, but JST made it back, and Strode now making a move for P2 with said DRS, and that advantage is taken. Lighty runs wide. Marquardt could take it, but the exit benefits Lighty. At this point, those softs are going to be falling off. It's going to be the medium compounded tyre that is going to work. And Jacob Strode, for him, he's going to want it to be the case. I mean, he was the only driver to start on the soft compound of tyre. He looked crazy. And now, well, he's in the battle for the lead. I thought Keane Lutt was going to be his only chance of a race victory today. But Strode is going to do it all by himself. The race lead switches once again. And this time, it heads the Williams' way. Lighty and Marquardt side by side for P3. And Lighty with the inside. Marquardt braking incredibly late to get ahead. And, well, Lighty's put himself in a dangerous position once again, because Marquardt and JST, they're going to defend. They've defended so well individually and together all race long, all evening long. Every single lap that they have been together has been defensive and holding off somebody else. I think there was contact there between JST and Strode. They both had a bit of a wobble on the exit, and Strode with the lead. DRS is open for the two Red Bulls and the McLaren, but they're not close enough. Strode with that straight line speed, he's holding on to it. This could be a victory for FVR. This could be going the way of Jacob Strode, and what a story that would be if they're able to take that victory. If Strode is able to take that victory, if Strode is able to hold on to it, it would be the second victory of the season for FVR. Lewis Walker took the first one in the first round of the season, and the second one could be heading Jacob Strode's way. TF10, though, I mean, they've not had a win all season, and they find themselves on top of the championship, having just had such a consistent season. They're looking to change that today. JST and Joel Marquardt trying to head through on Strode, trying to keep the pressure on. They went three wide. JST and Marquardt still side by side, as now they're 1 and 2. And suddenly the perspective switches. I said that Strode was in a great position. That was until he let both the TF10 drivers through. And on lap 24 of 26, it's all up in the air. The TF10 boys so good at defending so far in this race. And that could pay dividends for them, as Lighty and Strode side by side, as Lighty around the outside. Has he held on to these softs well enough? It looks as though he has, and he's still holding on alongside Strode there, wheel to wheel. But Strode with that straight line speed, holding him off, just keeping him at bay. P3 is his. He wants to go higher up. But I think that Strode is going to wait a couple more laps. I think he's waiting for those softs to really die off. By the way, Keane Lutt, he's right back in this. I've only just spotted that. Tonelato, Curiel and Lutt have made their way back into the DRS. And with a mistake on the exit for Damien Curiel, Keane and Lutt's opportunity beckons, but he does not take it. He sits behind. He waits for the DRS. This is the opportunity for the overtake for the Williams. It's also the opportunity for the overtake for Lighty if he wants to take it. It's also the opportunity for Jacob Strode if he wants to take it. But lap 24 of 26, not the time to overtake. The time to overtake is the final lap. But somebody tell Lighty, who sends it down the inside, doesn't make the move. Lutz finally gets ahead of Damien Curiel into P6. And now he sets his sights on Leonardo Tonelato. Despite all the chaos that's gone on in this race, we've somehow, in this battle for the lead, got two TF10 drivers, two FVR drivers and an ET8. Lutt to the inside of Tonelato. This is his opportunity, and he grabs it with both hands. But Tonelato with the exit, he gets back past. He stays in the lead of these two. But this is, I mean, after all of this chaos, to have TF10 1 and 2, FVR 3 and 6, and then Tonelato in P5 as well. Well, P6 now as Lutt pulls alongside and ahead. It's crazy. And it's fair play to all of these drivers that they've been able to fight through their various issues to come up here. I mean, Keelan Lutt having an issue moving all the way down to P15. And he's back up into the battle for the lead. Lighty, also, he started last. And he's made his way up to P4. He made his way up to the lead at some point in this race. Jacob Strode, the only driver to go on the alternative strategy. The only driver to start on the soft compounded tyre. And he is the only driver now on those mediums, on the best tyre for lap 26 of 26. The one that we're about to head on to. And the race victory is still not decided. The podium is still not decided. There are 6 drivers in realistic contention for this one. And JST is going to lead us into the final lap. Joel Marquardt is going to follow him through. TF10 are going to defend this with all their might. But DRS is not going to be available for JST. It's going to be feet to the floor for every single one of these. Down this straight here. And it's Lutz to the inside of Lighty. There's contact. But Lutt comes out on top. That could have cost him, though, the opportunity to fight for the race victory. That certainly cost Lighty, who falls behind Tonelato. And Lutt, P4 is his. Strode's in P3. It's TF10 1-2, FVR 3-4. And Lighty and Tonelato still fighting over this P5. I think it's going to be Lighty who comes out on top. Indeed, it is. Tonelato still holding a wheel in there. We've seen one move into this corner, and that was Keelan Lutt. Are we going to see another one? No, we're not. Lighty stays ahead. P5 continues to be his. We've got one more DRS straight to go to decide this race victor. It all comes down to this. JST ahead of Joel Marquardt. Jacob Strode looking to change that. He could take this P2 with a good overtake here. Marquardt trying to defend to the inside of this corner. Jacob Strode could look for a move around the outside, but he hasn't got the grip. He hasn't got the cornering speed. The final corner beckons for JST. And he is going to hold on to this one here. TF10 making an incredible teamwork race work. And they both hold on. It's a 1-2 for the TF10 team. Jacob Strode with an incredible drive in P3. Keelan Lutt with an equally incredible drive in P4. And Lighty in P5. TF10 ruining the storylines of the 3 drivers behind them. But who cares? Because it was an absolutely incredible drive right to the line for JST and for Joel Marquardt. They win here in Britain, and they're going to extend their championship lead. You get the feeling that they could have held on to that for a few more laps despite the pressure that Strode and Lutt would have put on them. You get the feeling they would have held on to it easily. Just, it's a sense that you get. They barely lost a position when they were together all weekend long. Oliver Knott, by the way, taking the fastest lap, last lap of the Grand Prix. He's down in P18, but he will have that to take home to the NLR camp. But what a race victory for TF10. The top 5 thoroughly earning their positions up there. With so many different storylines to tell. The chapters are over. The book has closed. And the 6th story of this TEE season has been written and published. And there we go. What a race from all 3 of those drivers on that podium. They can thoroughly deserve that champagne because of that race that they drove. It's a German 1-2 JST starting from 3rd on the grid. The teamwork with Joel Marquardt was supreme, and it's what saw them taking the race victory in the end. 3-4 for Strode and Lutt. You feel as though it would have been even closer than under a second if Lutt was able to stay in that position earlier on. Lighty in P5 from the last on the grid. Tonelato in P6. Then Michi Minjake with an incredible drive from the last row of the grid as well in P9. An underrated one. Michi as well underrated in that P7 spot. Marcel Paupst making contact. You'd think that that's going to be talked about in the stewards room. Whatever happened there between himself and Marquardt in Sector 1, that is, surely there's going to be a report from somebody there, but perhaps in P9 and Modesto Mena making his debut in P10. Then it's Anton Chebatarov, Unai Vega, Damien Curiel, Dennis Langrock, Tamas Kukani, Pau Villegas, Stephen Vaso, Oliver Knotts, Nicolino, and then to round out the grid, it was... Who was it? Adam Radek. Yeah, Adam Radek, the final... Well, he DNF'd, but the final finisher, essentially. The final classified driver in that race. But what an incredible race we had on our hands. Not going to lie, happy that that was all me. And I hope that I did a very good job there. Make sure to subscribe to me, please. Please. Because, well, I put a lot into that one, I will say. Commentating on your own isn't as cracked up
as you'd think it is, but there we go. Thoughts on that one? What the thoughts on that race, Max? Fair enough. No thoughts on that race. Speechless is Max Ring alongside me. And I'd say I'm pretty speechless too. But thank you very much to those of you for joining me this race. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.